Hello CraftDee family, and welcome to another tutorial by She's So CraftDee. For today's DIY projects, we will be creating some beautiful home decor made with items from the Dollar Tree and items that are $1 or less. Now these projects feature a fresh spring look with a touch of warmth and some rustic farmhouse style accents. Now these are perfect for yourself, for gift giving, or even craft shows. Now as always, all of the projects that I create have the complete supply list in the description box, so you can easily use it for reference as you gather up your supplies. Now before we start, I have to say, hey to all of my subscribers, and if you're a new visitor to my channel today, I hope you consider subscribing as well, and go ahead, stick around, enjoy these crafts and all the tips that I will share along the way. So now, let's jump right into the projects. Now this project is a planter box wall decor piece. We're going to need 3 packs of the 5-gallon paint stir sticks for 98 cents from Lowe's. We'll need some quart-size craft sticks, also 98 cents from Lowe's. We'll need 1 2-pack of these popcorn containers from the Dollar Tree, and some optional twine hearts from the Dollar Tree. Now we're going to start off working on our popcorn containers, so go ahead and remove them from their packaging. Now I plan to cut these containers in half, so go ahead and grab a cutting mat, and I'm going to grab my ruler so I'll know my cuts will be nice and straight. Now I'm going to measure the middle, and it usually lines up with that center line on the popcorn design, so I'm just going to draw a line right down that mark on both of my containers. Now once the line is drawn, I'm just going to take my utility knife. You could get this from the Dollar Tree or any hardware store, and I'm just going to go right down that line carefully and slowly. You can also use a hot knife or an X-Acto knife if you have one. So here is one side cut, and I'm just going to repeat this on the other side. Now for the bottom, I'm again going to draw my line with my marker, and I'm just going to carefully cut across the bottom. Now here it is all cut, and now I have 2 halves, and what I'm going to do with these is set this to the side and cut the other one as well, and now I have 4 pieces. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to clean them with rubbing alcohol, making sure you do remove that marker that you put on there, and then take it out and give it a couple of coats of this satin white spray paint by Krylon, or you can use acrylic or chalk paint if you like. Now while those dry, we are going to start working on our paint stir sticks. So go ahead and unpackage them, and you should have a total of 9. And grab about 8 of those Quart craft sticks, and we'll be staining today with my favorite Jacobian stain by Minwax. Now I'm going to start off with those 5-gallon paint stir sticks, and we want to apply a coat of stain on the side without the measurements. We want to make sure you get the bottoms and the top and the sides. Now there's no need to stain the back, that's completely optional, but I'm not staining the back for my project today. So here it is, and we're going to go ahead and stain all of them the same way. So now that those are done, we're going to work on those Quart craft sticks. Now I am going to be staining both sides of this. It is completely optional, but this gives me the option to choose which side I like more in my project. So here's what it looks like stained, and go ahead and stain the remaining of them. And now that everything is nice and stained, just set them out to dry for an hour or 2. Okay, so now that our sticks are nice and dry, we can start putting together our hanging board. So I'm going to lay my paint sticks out in a way where the handles go opposite of each other every single row. We're just going to rotate them to make sure they're nice and even. And here is what all the sticks will look like. Go ahead and place them face down, because we'll be working on the back side to adhere them together. And you can use your carpenter square, and they have these at the Dollar Tree as well to help make sure everything is aligned. So I had 3 loose 1-gallon paint stir sticks sitting around to join them together, but you could use any kind of scrap wood of your choice to join them together on the back. And I'm just going to add some of my wood stick hot glue along the back, and then joining all the pieces together. You just want to make sure that they're all bonded together and held tightly together. Now to reinforce that connection, I'm just going to take my staple gun and I'm going to put a staple in each one of the sticks down the first, second, and third pieces as shown here. And you can see that all the staples are in there and this rack is really strong and secure. And here's what it looks like on the front side. Okay, so we're going to flip it back over to the back and we're going to add our hangers. Now to hang this, I'm just using some jute rope from the Dollar Tree. This is the Nautical rope in the floral section. And I'll be adding 2 loops to the back of my wood piece. Now, once I get those cut, I'm just going to loop them around. And when you loop them, you just want to make sure the loop doesn't go above the top edge of your hanging piece. So I'm putting a couple of dots of hot glue there and I'm putting the ends of the rope on that hot glue to secure them in place. Now you do want to make sure you put 2 loops so your rack will be nice and steady and won't wobble. And then I'm going to go in with my staple gun and put 2 staples at the end of each piece of that rope on each side just to make sure it's super secure. Now to cover up those ends, I did cut a few pieces of some craft paper and I'm just going to hot glue this over the ends of the rope. I just think it just kind of finishes off the look and makes it look nice and clean. So I'm just going to add that to all of the ends and hot glue those in place. And here's what it looks like. So now all of our containers are nice and dry and all that popcorn paint is covered up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab those craft sticks that we stained and we're going to be trimming out the top edge of our containers. Now this does come with a scalloped edge, but I did want to cover it and give it a finished look. I just think it looks so much more professional with a wood trim. So I'm just going to cut the wood sticks down and I'm going to add them over the scallops where the scallops do not show through the front. So once I cut a piece down, I'm just going to add it to the front and then I'm going to lay that piece face down just to make sure that front edge of that cut piece is nice and even with the front of the container. And I'm going to do this on both sides. Now you notice I did cut them longer because I will be trimming that off at the very end, and it's a good idea to do that to make sure you get the perfect fit. Now for the front of the container, I am going to lay the front of the container down on one of the craft sticks, mark the outline of the front, and then all you have to do is trim it off with a pair of scissors for the perfect fit. And just lay it on the front of the container, add your hot glue across there and fit it right into place, making sure you cover up those scalloped edges. And now you have the perfect top trim. Now just trim off those 2 tail wings on the side. And now this is what your box trim will look like. And you want to repeat this. And here is all of your containers with all of that trim on the top edge. So I wanted to give my containers a little bit of a rustic worn look. So I'm going to use my craft stick trip where I just dip it into some acrylic paint and I drag the edge of the craft stick along the edges of the box. And I think this just gives it the perfect amount of distressing, not too much, not too little, and it's very effortless. It goes on perfect and highlights all those little parts and pieces of your container and actually makes it look like they are metal. Now don't forget the bottom too. The bottom edges will get some of that distressing too, and you want to allow those to dry. So now that they are dry, go ahead and grab your wood piece and we're going to take all 4 of our containers and I'm going to align them along the bottom. You just want to make sure that they're evenly spaced apart, about 1 inch from the bottom. And then I'm taking a pencil and I'm lightly outlining each one of the containers so I know where to apply my adhesive. Now I am using my wood hot glue for this. I'm just going to go ahead and outline the shape of the container that I traced on and also add some hot glue on the inside of the container as well along the edge, and then carefully place it on top of the glue, placing it, making sure you just press it nice and gently so it adheres, and you want to do this for all of your containers. And then after that's done, I'm just going to follow up adding a bead of hot glue along the inside edge, and this just secures them all in place and makes sure that they're not going to be easy to pull apart from the board. And as you can see, I'm lifting it up by the container and they are not going anywhere. So now it's time to decorate. So I'm just choosing some snippets of some eucalyptus. Now I picked this up from Walmart. You can use any kind of greenery that you like. And I'm just putting some snippets of that eucalyptus inside of all my containers. Now here is what it looks like with that greenery on there. I think it is super cute. Now I did have these twine hearts left over. These are a Valentine's find. So I'm just going to add these to the containers, but I did want them to be removable. So what I did is I took some ribbon that I had on hand and I'm just going to loop it around and hot glue the top of the ribbon in place so that loop is secure. Now I'm going to be tucking this ribbon inside of the container for all of the, when I put those hearts on, but I am using a strip of, this is actually white duct tape, and I'm going to stick that inside. That duct tape will hold anything, you guys, and plus it is removable, and that'll hold the edge of that hanging heart on each one of the containers. So I'm just going to repeat this until all those hearts are applied, and there you have it. This is definitely an option you can use for Valentine's Day or any kind of farmhouse decor. And now all you have to do is to choose your favorite place to display it in your home. Now you guys, I am so excited about how this turned out. I think that it is such a beautiful display piece with so many decorating options. Now one thing that I really love is that the hearts are removable, so you can replace them with anything that you love. Now of course there is an option to enjoy them without any additional hanging decorations if you like, and that is what is shown here. Now even though these have a plant design, you can also use this for organization as well, or even put letters or labels on the front as you wish. Now you all have to let me know, what do you think of this project in the comments below. Now this project is a set of farmhouse vases. Now I'm going to be using one floral vase from the Dollar Tree and one of these tall milk vases from the Dollar Tree. Now for the milk vase, I'm going to give it 2 coats of this satin white spray paint by Krylon. And for the flower vase, I'm going to give it 2 coats of satin black spray paint by Krylon. So once everything dries, we can start embellishing. So I'm going to start with the white vase. Now I did want to give it a little bit of a rustic look. So I'm taking some black acrylic paint, and there's this little circle with the number 1 on the front. I'm just kind of highlighting that. Not sure what the 1 is for. If you guys know, let me know in the comments below. But I'm highlighting that, and I'm also going to add that black acrylic paint around the top edge of the vase. And also when that's done, I'm going to add it around the bottom of the vase just to give it a little accent. So here is that vase all nice and painted, and I'm loving how that clean, fresh look. Now once it dries, we are just going to keep it really simple with this vase, and all we're going to do is to add some black and white checkered ribbon. So I'm just going to cut a piece long enough just to tie a really simple bow. This is a bow that you would kind of tie your shoes like. So I'm just going to tie a little bow around the neck of the vase just to give it that really cute, simple look. Now I wanted to keep my tails pretty long on this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim those down a little bit and then give it that standard dovetail cut at the very end. And there you have it. You have a really simple but cute little vase. Now I am going to be using some greenery for this, and I picked up these greenery bundles from the Dollar Tree. This was my first year actually finding these, and I'm going to stick that in the vase, and that is it to make this cute vase. Now for the black vase, here it is in black satin. I think it turned out really nice. Now for this one, I have a strand of wood beads that I'm going to tie around it. Now I picked up beads from Amazon, and I made this strand just with some cotton twine. Really easy. I just tied knots on the end. So I'm just going to wrap that around and twist it together. And then I'm also going to take the same bundle of that greenery from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to add it to this vase as well. I'm just going to fold up the end so it fits nicely inside of there. And there you have it. How cute is that? I'm just going to go ahead and stick that in there as well. And that is it to make these super sweet set of vases. Now, I was so surprised to find this taller vase at the Dollar Tree, and of course, their floral vases are always a signature favorite. Now, you can choose the beading, you can choose ribbon, or you can even make little hang tags. That would be really super cute on these as well. Now, these are so super easy, and I hope that you give them a try. Now, this project is a farmhouse hello sign. Now, I'll be using one of these round Valentine signs from the Dollar Tree, this framed hello sign from the Dollar Tree, and I'll be using some Quart craft sticks from Lowe's that were 98 cents. Now, I'm going to start off with the hello sign, and I'm just going to carefully peel out that hello word from the front of the sign, and I'm going to be cutting this out. So you can use an assortment of wire clippers to do this, and I'm using my fine tipped wire clippers, and I'm just going to clip around, making sure I just carefully go around all of the letters, removing the framing. Now, when you go around your round letters, you just want to chip off all of those extra nips and pieces, and then go around those edges with some sandpaper to make it nice and smooth. Now, once that's done, we're going to take our word and we are going to be painting it. So I'm going to give it 2 coats of some white chalk paint. I just want to make sure that it dries all the way between each one of the coats. And here is our word all nice and painted. Just let it sit to completely dry. Now, while that does dry, go ahead and grab that Valentine's round sign, remove all of the hang tags and everything, and we're going to be using the back. So I'm going to be applying some of these Quart craft sticks to the back to give it a kind of fancy wood look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by adding 1 craft stick across the top. Now, I am adhering this with my wood stick hot glue, and you can use standard acrylic glue or regular wood glue for this if you like. And then as I add more sticks, I'm cutting one edge straight, and then I'm going to overlap the other end off of the sign because we'll be cutting this down to size. The point of adding these in a look like this is I am actually going to be staggering them to look like tiles, and I just really think that this look looks so neat, so clean when it's done. And you're just going to cut those craft sticks down all the way down, just making sure that they are staggered, the seams are staggered, and that they overlap the end so you'll have a nice clean look. And as you can see, you'll notice that those seams are not lined up. This is perfect because it'll have that seaming look. Now, here it is in progress. This is what it looks like so far. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to cut and add more of the craft sticks, and here is the entire back of that round sign covered. So now that that's done, you can go ahead and grab your cutting mat, and I am going to be using my utility blade, and I'm just going to run my utility blade all around the sign, cutting on those craft sticks. You should only need maybe 2 or even maybe 3 passes to cut these. They're really soft, so they're really easy to cut. And once all of those pieces are cut off, this is what it looks like. I just love this pattern. I think it's so nice. So I'm just going to clean up the edges really quick with some sandpaper to remove all those splinters and burrs that may have occurred while you were cutting. So now all we have to do is stain, and of course I'm going to be using my Jacobian stain by Minwax. So I am going to be applying a nice coat of that stain all over those craft sticks on the back of the board. And don't forget, you also want to make sure you get along those edges as well so everything will be nice and blended. And here is everything all nice and covered, and I think that it turned out so beautiful. Alright, so now that it's had the time to dry, we are going to be covering up the back of the sign with that truck. But first we are going to add a hang string. So I decided to use some more of that black and white check ribbon. So I'm going to apply that to the back of the sign with some hot glue, just making sure that it's nice and centered, and your front of your sign will hang straight. So I keep flipping it over to make sure that string is nice and straight. So everything looks good here. So now we can add it to our paper. So I'm just going to take my hot glue and I'm going to run a generous bead around the outside of the circle and also in the center, and then place that glue side down on that craft paper and just press it firmly so everything adheres nice and even. And then all you have to do is to take your utility knife or X-Acto knife and go around the edge, trimming off the excess, being careful you don't cut that ribbon off. And now the back is nice and clean and professional. Okay, so now the fun part, it's time to decorate. I have some of these clover flowers and I picked these up for 97 cents a bundle at Walmart. And I'm going to be just clipping some of those clips apart, and I'm going to be putting them across the top of my sign. Now once they're laid out like you like, I'm just going to bundle them together and I'm going to secure them together with a zip tie. You just want to make sure that it's nice and tight and even spread apart. Now once it looks good, go ahead and clip off the tail of that zip tie and then center it at the top of your sign with a dot of that hot glue and just hold it in place until everything is bonded. Now once that's done, go ahead and grab your hello sign. Now you notice that the tail of the O and the H are over the edge of my sign. Now you can definitely leave it like this, but I'm going to clip it down to fit my sign. So I'm just using my wire clippers to do that. So once you get a nice fit, just apply a couple of dollops of some hot glue on the back and make sure it's nice and centered on your sign. And then as a final touch, we will be adding some more of that black and white check ribbon, and I'm going to be making a bow. Now I always get questions about the bow, but this is how I make it. I place it between two fingers with a tail out of the back. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it around my thumb, my finger, then over my thumb, over my finger, and over my thumb and finger for how many ever loops that you want. Now in this case, I did it 3 times, so I'm just going to go ahead and snip that end off. And then the end that you snipped off, you want to wrap it around the entire bundle. And then when you wrap it around, you're going to wrap it back around through the loop you just made and just pull really tight. And that is it. This is such an easy bow. I love it. It actually turns out so super cute, and you never know that it was really that easy, but it is super cute and super easy to make. So here is your bow, and I'm just going to go ahead and trim it down and make that little dovetail and to match all my other projects as well, just to finish it off. Now I didn't want the tails as long because I didn't want my lettering to be covered up, but once that's done, here is what it looks like. And I'm just going to put a little dot of hot glue at the very top and then place my bow right at the top there on my hello sign. And that is it. So now you can display this on a shelf, a mantle, or even your front door or entryway. Now I just love the beautiful and fresh look of the spring florals in these, and paired with that stained wood, it just really gives it such a warm and cozy feeling. Now you can add any kind of embellishments or words to this that you like and customize it for your space. Now be sure to let me know, where would you display this sign in your home? Now this project is a farmhouse crate style planter. We're going to need one of these Valentine's book stack decor pieces from the Dollar Tree. Now here is the book stack from the Dollar Tree. Now if you notice, here is a crate, and comparing them, the book stack is almost twice the size. So I decided to use the book stack instead of a crate, but you can use a crate as well if you like. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove all of that packaging from that book stack, and I also want to remove the ribbon. Now I wanted the book stack sides and fronts to be visible, so I'm going to actually be cutting an opening on the top of this book stack. So I'm just going to run my utility blade 2 or 3 times on the back at each one of the sides, and I'm leaving a little edge about a 1/2 inch all the way around, so it'll be an edge around the top of my planter. Now, once you do all of your cuts, it's really easy to just pop it right out, and then you could just trim off the edges if you have any loose pieces. Now I am going to be painting this with a couple of coats of some white chalk paint as a base, but before I do that, I am going to add some feet to it, and I'm using some 20mm wood beads, and I picked these up from Amazon. I'll have them linked in the description box below, but I'm going to add one of these 20mm beads in each one of the corners at the bottom of my book stack box. And so now you can go ahead and start painting it. I'm going to start with the bottom, just adding a nice little coat. I'm going to paint the bottom and the beads. So I'm going to start at the bottom and then start working my way around the entire box, covering up all that decoration. So here's my box with the full 2 coats on it, and now just let it completely dry. Okay, our box is now dry, so I'm just going to add just a little bit of color and distressing. So I'm going to be using my black acrylic paint for this. Now I'm taking my chip brush that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just dry brushing on some of that black acrylic paint all over each side of the box. And then I'm taking my fine tipped paintbrush to highlight the individual stacks on here, and then blending them in with my chip brush just so those individual slats just kind of pop out at you. And here is what it looks like. Now the final step is to go in and to paint all of the feet, and I wanted to paint mine just the plain black, so I'm just going to do that for all 4 of those and then let this entire thing completely dry. So now that it's dry, we can start to decorate. So I'm going to put a couple of pieces of foam on the inside to hold my greenery, and I decided to go with some of this eucalyptus and some wheat bundles that I actually got from Dollar General. So I'm just going to start sticking in my eucalyptus and my wheats and just arranging them in this cute little arrangement. Now, even though this is really super cute as is, I had to add one final touch, and so I made another little bow out of some small black and white check. Of course, if bows aren't your thing, you can definitely add whatever you like or leave the bow off, but I'm just going to attach this to the front with just a dot of hot glue, and I think it just kind of finishes up that look. And that finishes this little project. Now, how cute is this little transformed Valentine's box decor? Now, I really do love this blend of greenery, and it will fit perfectly into my spring farmhouse decor. Now, I really had fun creating these fun and easy projects today, and I hope that these have inspired you. Now, as always, I do love them all, but let me know in the comments which one of these projects was your favorite today. Listen, if you love DIYs on a budget, please give this video a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Make sure that you're following She's So Crafty EE on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest for the latest news, sneak peeks, and giveaways. If you like videos like these and you don't want to miss the next one, make sure you're subscribed by clicking that subscribe button below, or just click on my She's So Crafty logo on your screen and make sure you hit that bell to be notified when the next DIY goes live. It's absolutely free. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.